Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Loretta Ellsworth. I'm a board member with the Minnesota Association of Library Friends and chair of the organization's programming committee. You'll see a little more of me towards the end of our time together this afternoon, as I have the honor of moderating the Q&A session with today's guest. Speaking of, please drop your questions for our speaker into the chat whenever they occur to you. Jillian will keep one eye on the chat throughout her talk and may address a few of these in passing. But again, be prepared to be patient. We'll devote the end of the hour together to audience Q&A. Please use the hand raise function if you have a tech-related question or issue. Our tech manager, David, will be mindful of raised hands and be in touch with you individually. Summer is nearly upon us, finally. And as hard as it is to believe, that means it's already high time to start thinking about fall 2023 activities and programs. That includes fundraising. But here's the rub. Although they vary widely in mission, Minnesota's many nonprofits share the same year-end fundraising calendar. It kicks off with our state's giving holiday, Give to the Max Day, next set for November 16th. Following closely on its heels is the national equivalent, Giving Tuesday, which is November 28th. December brings no relief as events of all types vie for year-end donations until the new year. MALF regularly hears from our members that it's difficult for friends of the library to reach audiences during this critical but crowded period. Fortunately, a solution already exists. It's called National Friends of Libraries Week, and it's what brings us together today. Now let's bring in today's guest. If you follow Friends of the Library at the national level, Jillian Wentworth may be a name quite familiar to you. She's the manager of marketing and membership for United for Libraries, which is the trustees and friends arm of the American Library Association. Jillian has worked for public libraries since 1994, most recently at Princeton, New Jersey Public Library and Easttown, Pennsylvania Library and Information Center. She holds a master's degree in library and information science from Drexel University. Over the years, Jillian has also worked as a journalist and editor, as well as in public relations for various nonprofit arts organizations. In her current capacity as marketing and member manager, Jillian oversees all communications and marketing for United for Libraries and also promotes the division's digital products. Among other duties, this involves editing the United for Libraries newsletters, working with corporate sponsors, and coordinating programming like conferences, webinars, and workshops. It's a tall order to be sure, so we're grateful she could spare some time for MALF today. In the interest of making the most of our limited time, I will now pass the mic. Take it away, Jillian.
Thank you so much, Loretta. Thank you, Minnesota Association of Library Friends, for having me here. I'm so excited to be here. I'm going to bring up my slides now. And it's always great to see everything that you're doing there in Minnesota, because I follow everything that you send out, and it's such a powerhouse statewide organization and just amazing groups that you have here. So thank you for having me. I'm here today to talk about, as Loretta said, National Friends of Libraries Week. So I'm going to go over the history and concept of that. I'm going to give you some examples of celebrations from small libraries and larger libraries, different sizes, urban and rural. Because the great thing about this week is it's adaptable no matter where you are, or the size of your Friends of Libraries group or capacity. So I'll go through some of that. I'll show you some examples of social media from the past couple years that you can hopefully be inspired by. I'll talk briefly about the National Friends of Libraries Week Awards and the opportunities that are offered there. I'll give you some more dates to watch out for beyond National Friends of Libraries Week and over the summer as well. I'll talk about United for Libraries additional opportunities a little bit. And then at the end of the presentation, I am going to show you the National Friends of Libraries Week logo that is brand new, and no one outside of ALA and some of our board members have seen it yet. So you will be the first. It's not on our website or anything, but you'll see it at the end, and that will be in all of our materials for 2023. So this year, 2023, is the 18th annual celebration of National Friends of Libraries Week. So we're coming up on 20 years of this, 2025, which is great. It's held every year the third full week in October. So the dates vary there. This year it's coming up a little bit earlier than it normally does because of that timing. And it's a twofold opportunity to celebrate the Friends of the Library. So from the Friends end, there's great events to consider, like doing a membership drive and promoting volunteers and things like that. And then on the other end, it's a great opportunity for the library to thank the Friends that for all they do. So I know that there's a lot of Friends here. I'm guessing there might be some library staff who work with Friends too. So I'll be talking about things that both of those groups can do from both sides. It's great. And then I'll talk a little bit about what United for Libraries provides as well. So we are, as I said, rolling out this new graphic. And so these materials aren't yet available on our website. They're going to be available before the end of this month. So we will certainly let Minnesota know when they are available with the new logo and branding. But we make available social media and other graphics, so ready-made Facebook and Twitter and Instagram posts that you can use, that you can also customize in your community. We do some PR marketing materials, so we do templates that you can customize with your community and specific information. So we have press releases, letters to the editor, some sample text you can use for the proclamation, and a sample fundraising letter as well. We'll have a couple other assets, but those are some of them. We have ideas available on our website, which I'll also be talking about here, but if you need some inspiration, we have some ideas there. And we have some projects from past National Friends of Libraries Week award winners that I recommend that you check out as well. And then we promote National Friends of Libraries Week as United for Libraries through our social media, our newsletter, our news and updates blog, and ALA promotes it as well at that level, which is great. So they put it on ALA-wide socials, which gives a lot more amplification to it. And you can always tweet those out, repost their Facebook posts as well. So I'll talk about some ideas for Friends. Fundraising event, as Loretta talked about, there's so many fundraising things in the fall. Fall is a busy time for Friends and for libraries, and it's a great time to do a fundraising event if it fits in with the National Friends of Libraries Week. Since you do have that end of year giving coming up, and your state-specific giving opportunities. Another way to look at it is you can do some events for National Friends of Libraries Week as a precursor to those fundraisers, if that works better for your schedule. So if you feel like your friends haven't had visibility lately, this is National Friends of Libraries Week is a great way to amplify and let everyone know what the friends are doing before you're going to go out and do a fundraising or solicitation letter, ask for members or donors. So that's a couple different ways you can approach it. A lot of friends do a membership drive during that week, which is a great way to promote membership. I know that some friends groups are leaning towards not doing membership as much. I talked to a director of a large Friends of Library group with many branches, and she said that they are just calling everyone a friend as opposed to having members and just going off after, seeking donations from people who want to donate and volunteer hours from people who do that. So I'd be curious to see what's going on there in Minnesota if you found that to be a trend or not. But if you do still look for memberships and solicit memberships, this is a great time to do it. Book sales are always great. I know there's a lot of book sales in the fall anyway, so it's a good timing for that. Some friends do a thank you event for staff, like a lunch or gifts or anything else you want to do to recognize library staff during that week. Some friends have done an event or program for each day of the week, and I'll talk about that in a moment. That is a heavy lift for some. It doesn't have to be a big event every day of the week, but that's a really good way to make the most of the week and have different events for the different people in your community and what they're interested in. Contests are another possibility. Those are always fun, especially for younger library patrons. Volunteer recognition, I know you do a lot with that in Minnesota, so it's a great time to do it as well. And then, if you just don't have the capacity to do a lot or do events, totally understandable. If you do a social media post every day of that week, that's a huge thing too, and that's a huge, great way to raise awareness. So how can libraries support this? They can help friends in getting a proclamation signed by elected officials or the mayor, and I'll show you a couple examples of those soon. And they can also let elected officials know how the friends support the library, whether it's through fundraising or programs or volunteering. It's a huge thing to be able to demonstrate community support for the library. So if you're letting your elected officials know, wow, we have all these volunteers coming in and supporting the library, and it's so meaningful in our community, that lets the elected officials know how important it is. And when it comes time to vote for a millage increase or whatever it is, you've put it in their minds that there's this community support, which is great, and that the funding should reflect that community support. And it's important when you do this, if you can, to just give them both data and stories. So if the friends are doing fundraisers, how much did they raise for the library in 2022? Or how much have they raised so far this year? How many programs have they supported and what was the attendance? How many volunteer hours have they logged? And then in addition to that, some personal stories, maybe based on the special interests of your elected officials, or if you have a mayor who's really passionate about early childhood education, making sure that person knows what an impact summer reading had and some of the stories from parents and kids who came in through summer reading programs that were supported by the Friends and what it meant to them. So just some examples there. Again, great way to recognize outstanding friends of the library for all they've done and thank them. And then the friends or the library rather, can publicly thank the friends in an article in local media, in a display in the library, or just in notes to let them know how much they appreciate all the friends do every day. So here are a couple of proclamations. The one, I know that you can't see these too well, and I'll send some, I'll share a link. I'll share a list of all the links that I'm going to refer to in this presentation with all of you. So you don't have to take notes or go looking for things, but we have this on our website. The left-hand side is a proclamation from the state of Tennessee. So Friends of the Libraries and Friends of Tennessee Libraries, your counterpart there in that state, always does a great job getting a statewide proclamation signed by the governor. So the one on the left, that's from 2021. And then on the one on the right is a town or a city proclamation. And that's from last year from the Friends in Alpine Public Library in Texas. So if you don't have to start from scratch with this, like I said, you can use these as an examples. We'll have text on our website. If you can get a photo opportunity with this proclamation with your mayor and the library director and the president of the Friends, that's always a great thing. So that's great to be able to promote. So I'm going to talk about a larger Friends of Library group, Charleston, South Carolina Friends of the Library, and a project that they did to recognize board members during National Friends of Libraries Week. And then I'll talk about a Friends group that was a little smaller and what they did for their National Friends of Libraries Week celebration. And these are past winners of our National Friends of Libraries Week award as well. So Charleston Friends of the Library held their first ever board reunion celebration as part of National Friends of Libraries Week. It was on a Sunday for a couple hours, and they had over 60 people there. And the purpose of the event was to honor past and present board members over the 30 years that the group has been in existence. And they also did a special focus on their founder, who was called Sarah Breitbart. So I'll just outline some of the concept of this event and what they wanted to do. The challenges they face that I think we all have are a busy fall schedule and then limited staff resources. So they had to work with that in planning their celebration. They decided that a board reunion would bring together former board members and current board members and to help, cultivate new members and donors. And I think one thing that we always hear is how can I bring in new friends, right? How can I bring in fresh people on the board? And that's a great way to do it. Brings these people together for a meaningful in-person event. And then you can follow up with those who are interested and invigorated about getting involved with the friends and joining this amazing group of people over the years that has helped the library in so many ways. The strategy behind it was they wanted to share all the successes that the friends have had and celebrate how long the organization has been around. And of course, increase those board members and volunteers. So the library staff and the board really helped expanding the reach of this and help them promote it in local media. And then the follow-up to this was really important. So they monitored the involvement of former and new board members and sent them targeted communications to get them to come to the event and then after the event. So that was really key in accomplishing the goal that they wanted, which was to get people back in the fold in whatever form that they could do it. So I'll show you some materials from this. They had Charleston Academy of Music play string music during the event. So that was a great way to get a local community organization involved. The Friends of the Library Executive Director led a brief program, and they also had the Friends Interim Director there. They had some words to honor the Friends of Libraries founder, who I mentioned. And a lot of the programs that she initiated continued to the current day. They gave some Friends board members flowers at the event. And they did a really neat thing, which is to create posters that had the names of all the Friends of the Library board members from the past 30 years. So if you keep track of those things, which isn't always easy, but it's great to do that, have that institutional knowledge. So they had those posters made and they displayed them in all of their branch libraries, and they also gave a copy to the Friends founder. So what a great way to just recognize everybody who's done things for your organization. So again, this is like the program from their event and some photographs. And they just found it was a really successful way to get people back and excited about the Friends, and again serve in whatever role they were able to, whether it was back on the board or as a volunteer, or to donate some funds if they were able to do so and wanted to support that way. So now I'll tell you a little bit about another award winner. It's Friends of the San Juan Island Washington Library. So as you can tell, they are a rural library. They are on an island, so far away from a lot of resources. The library is really key to their community. So they are one of the ones that had events every single day of the week. They did a membership drive with a raffle. They went out and asked the community and friends to do letters about why they love their library. And then they did promotion. They had a electronic banner, they did social media, they had a display cabinet demonstrating things that the friends had funded, and they did a lot of personal outreach as well. So this is what they put out there for doing daily events for National Friends of Libraries Week. So I'll tell you, not everything they did is even on here, so I'll just tell you what they did every day. They had a book swap for a couple hours on the first day, and they had play library games. There were prizes. They kicked off the membership drive there, and they did some getting to know you type of things. On the next day, the 16th, they gave each member of the library staff a thank you card and an invitation for a grab and go lunch for the next day. So staff recognition there. And then the next day they did a soup and salad lunch where staff could just, grab what they wanted and go back to their desk, which is a great way to do it for a busy library staff who may not have time to put aside a couple hours for an organized meal. On the 18th, they had a program on collecting old and rare books. And the presenter talked about being a book collector. They had wine and cheese there and chocolate. Who doesn't love all those things? And they had a really active membership table that evening as well. On the 19th, they honored the Board of Trustees members, which is so great to do, as well as honoring the staff. So they let them know how much they appreciated them at their regular monthly meeting, and they received a thank you card and chocolate from the friends. On the 20th, they gave out temporary tattoos to younger patrons, to kids that said read. And then they had youth in the library write those same thank you notes about why they love the library. And then they wrapped up the week with a book sale, or a sale of books and other treasures, jewelry and things like that, and continued their membership drive. So really impressive things to do every single day. And this was their campaign, let us know why you love your library. And they took those letters and put them on posters in the library. And those are great to have later. And this was another image that they put out, including a lot of the younger patrons in the library. I mentioned contests, bookmark design contests. This one is from Friends of Johnson County Library in Kansas. Tell us your story about family books and learning about your library, and draw us into your colorful library world. And they printed these and put them in the different locations in the branch libraries, which is great for everybody to see that. And then this is for Friends of Boca Raton Public Library in Florida. So they did an online campaign, and this one was done through classy.org. There's several different formats that you could take advantage of to do this. But it's great because they did targeted asks. So if you wanted to support student backpacks, that's the $60 give, and you could provide STEM backpacks for kids preparing for school. There was an ask for $120 to help fund a database. So if you have some special projects you've been wanting to fund, that's a great way to do it. And a great way for people to be able to participate virtually as opposed to in person. This is Friends of the Hennepin County, Minnesota Library. So of course I had to share them because they are in Minnesota. I have to say this was not a National Friends of Libraries Week event. It was a National Library Week event. So they did it last month for National Library Week. But I wanted to share it because I think it would be great for National Friends of Libraries Week. And they do great things over there. So the concept was sharing the library love, and they had friends and people in the community write notes about why they loved the library. And they were delivered to all the locations there in Hennepin County. And there's great images. There's even more images and notes on that website on the link. So I encourage you to check that out, and just, great notes from the younger patrons. We love our library because there's so many great books to choose from, and it feels very nice to just wander among the books and take in all the quiet. The activities are very fun. We love our library. So this would be just a great one to have during National Friends of Libraries Week, and great images and quotes to share on social media, and, to share with your elected officials too. This was from Friends of Queens, New York Public Library. They did a great video that had elected officials sharing their thoughts about the importance of the Friends of Queens Public Library. So I'll provide that link in the resources to that video. But they did a tweet about it, which was great. And there's the other part of their tweet. They had a really great image, and they have many, many branches there. And they also did something similar, except from the friends, from the library staff and talking about the friends. So they had staff from each of the branches talk about how key the friends were to the library, which was really neat. So this was Cambria Heights, talked about how the friends helped sponsor a virtual poetry festival, an author festival, and they've put together a panel to discuss current issues around Domestic Violence Awareness Month. They said the Cambria Heights friends always do an amazing job and are not just our biggest advocates, but also our close partners to make sure Cambria Heights provides the highest level of service to the community. So really meaningful testimonials there. This one from Corona, I can't imagine Corona without our friends group. They are a vibrant, vital part of our Corona family and the Corona community, from holding awareness events, including focusing on healthy eating and recycling, to their incredible tour giveaways during the winter holidays. They truly make our world a better place. So just really great ideas, and these were from their website. I also wanted to encourage you to check out Federation of Friends of the DC Public Library. They're a really great group. If you've ever seen the shirt, What's More Punk Than the Public Library, that came from one of their friends groups. And they did a really neat video showcasing different people involved with the Friends. So that link is in the resources that I'll share too, if you want to check that out. It was a brief video, but really did a great job of showing friend support. And then the library itself tweeted it out for National Friends of Libraries Week. This one is pretty close down the road from me. I'm here in Philadelphia, Delaware County Libraries. This is the library expressing gratitude for the friends and all they do. And you can see our hashtags too here, which I'll share in the resources and we'll have on our website if you want to use those. So this is the graphic that they did showing how the friends volunteer, they do fundraising, membership, how they advocate, which is really important, how they promote the library and help support programming. So that was a really good one. This is another DC public library one where they talked about how great the specific branch friends are and tweeted that out as part of National Friends of Libraries Week. A couple other really cute ones. And the great thing about this is you could use our graphics or you could make your own graphics customized to the community. So they did a little fun social media, coffee and donut. Everyone loves that. To thank their friends and to also provide a link to join. So that's great for membership. And this one was Friends of the San Antonio Public Library. Another really fun one, this was in Albany, New York, celebrating from the library, celebrating friends groups there and talking about how their reach goes way beyond books. This is another one that was fun. They did you can write the friends a thank you note. So another great idea, and then learn how to become a member of our super friends. Which is great because we're all really friends of the library, right? But this is, show your support, become a super friend of the library with that cute superhero logo. So that's a great idea coming out of a library in Georgia. And this is ALA Executive Director Tracy Hall, who just was named to the Time 100 Most Influential People list this year, if you didn't know that. So she did a personal tweet about National Friends of Libraries Week, which is great. So there's, as I said, a lot of ALA amplification and support around the week, which is great. And I wanted to let you know about the National Friends of Libraries Week awards. So we've been doing this for several years now. There's two $250 awards. The applications will be due in early December, so we give you some time to work on those applications before they are due in December. And so if you want to check them out in September and figure out what you want to do for actual the week in October. So you have some time to put that together and then to put your application together. So these are evaluated on creativity and innovation, on engagement of the friends, staff, trustees, and if you have an advisory committee, and then how your programs recognize and promote the friends group. So I encourage you to apply for those and check out when the applications are available. It's a word for your friends group, which is great. And then there's also some promotion on our end of the friends groups who received it and a certificate. So it's a great thing to be able to highlight. I also wanted to tell you about some events outside of National Friends of Libraries Week that are coming up that are great opportunities, and I want to make sure that they're on your calendar for your friends. Library card sign up month is September. So if your library participates in that, it's great for the friends to be able to amplify that out and to let everybody know all the resources that are available at your library when you have a card that they might not even know about. If you have a makerspace or if you offer checkout of special items or things like that, events that are held there. So I encourage you to use the ALA graphics that come out to amplify your library and encourage people in your community to sign up then. You can also have your elected officials come in and sign up for their library card if they don't already have it, or get a nice photo op of them with their library card. And any discussion of libraries currently is talking about challenges to intellectual freedom and censorship attempts as well, unfortunately. So I encourage you to mark Banned Books Week on your calendar. It's October 1st through 7th. They've already unveiled some graphics for that on the ALA website. I have the link in the resources, but I think it's bannedbooksweek.org. So that's great to put on your calendar, and it's certainly something that friends and foundations groups can take advantage of. I know that in Austin Public Library in Texas, their friends group does a banned books readathon every year. So that's a great fundraiser and a great way to bring awareness to that week and that event and to amplify anything that your library is doing. National Friends of Libraries Week or National Library Week just passed last month, but I've put the 2024 dates on there. You can definitely plan ahead for that. As I said, the Friends of the Hennepin County Library did that thank you letter writing event during that week. But I would definitely put that on the calendar as well because it's something that friends can certainly reach out and support. And I wanted to tell you about a few other events that I think you should have on your calendar as well. ALA Annual Conference is happening in Chicago in June, and this is the second in-person conference since COVID hit, and Chicago is always a great one. So there should be a lot going on. United for Libraries does offer about a dozen programs geared towards trustees, friends, and foundations. So we have programs and connection opportunities. We have a program on the Friday of conference called Cookies and Conversation for Trustees, Friends, and Foundations. So it's a great way to network with your counterparts across the country. So if you wanted to get a group together and travel to Chicago for that, I definitely recommend it if you're able to do so. And we have all the United for Libraries programs featured on our website if you want to check out what's going on there. The fourth annual United for Libraries virtual event is August 1st through 3rd. So this is a conference we started doing right after COVID when we weren't able to have the in-person conferences at annual. And there are about a dozen programs within those 3 days. Just regular submitted programs. We have a jury that selects them, and then we have 2 keynote programs, and we have the Gala Author Tea, which is a virtual event with best-selling authors. So we are going to put out information on exactly what programs we will have there shortly. That'll be on our website, and we'll be opening registration as well. So I recommend checking that out. And then when you register, you have access to all of those programs for the next year as recorded events. United for Libraries Learning Live. If any of you are United for Libraries members, you probably already know about this. It's called Learning Live, but you can also access the recordings. It's the second Tuesday of each month, except for August. We don't have it then because we have our virtual event. But these are great opportunities. Some are more friends oriented, some are more foundation oriented, and some are trustee oriented, and some apply to everybody. So we have those listed on our website. And I'll just tell you specifically about the next 2 that we're having because they are very relevant to Friends and National Friends of Libraries Week as well. It's kind of, they would be a great next step for thinking about your National Friends of Libraries Week's promotions. So Dr. Curtis Rogers will be the speaker on these 2. It's marketing and public relations skills for Friends of the Library. And we're doing it in 2 parts. So part 1 is June 13th and part 2 is July 11th. So Dr. Rogers is a past president of the South Carolina Library Association and a former board member with Friends of South Carolina Libraries. And he'll be talking about how to get the word out about everything you do. So you don't have to be a marketing pro, but some really effective ways to get the word out. If you feel like, people aren't aware that you have these events, or how do they know how to join, or, what are some tips that he'll provide those during the session. And then we'll also have friends of the libraries groups who have really, found success with their PR and marketing efforts, speaking on both of those. So I know that there will be some great ideas in there about how to push out your National Friends of Libraries Week events. And then As I said, Learning Live is free to those who are United members. So if you are not currently a member, we would love to have you join. Feel free to email me and I can help you out with that as well. As I said, we have 11 month Learning Live sessions a year. One thing that we've come out with recently is access to board source materials, which include things like toolkits and tip sheets. And these are not just for boards of trustees for libraries, they are great for any nonprofit board, absolutely including friends groups. And there's a lot of great information in there about board development, just best practices. So I highly recommend that. We have a monthly e-newsletter that goes out that has, it's a great reminder of all the timely benefits that you receive as a member. We have e-learning in addition to the Learning Live sessions. We do webinars. Some are free for members and some are discounted for members. We have toolkits and tip sheets, lots available for friends of the library. It just we have I know what questions people have when they come to us about Friends Board dynamics and working with the director, or what the difference in the role is between the friends and the trustees and the director. So those tools, if you've used them, you know that they really help outline those and help support your friends group. And then we do discounts. So if you want to come to United Virtual, we have a member discount for that, or if you want to attend ALA annual, if you want to buy things at the ALA store to promote your library or your friends, there's discounts there as well. I also wanted to make sure to share with you, if you didn't already know about it, Unite Against Book Bans. So the website is there, uniteagainstbookbans.org, and the hashtag. This is an effort of ALA, but also supported by a lot of other outside organizations to help fight all the censorship attempts that are going on across the country. So if you haven't already gone there and registered, please do so, and you'll receive updates about how you can help in this fight against censorship. They also just recently came out with a toolkit with things like talking points and information on how to speak out at board meetings, how to organize a petition. They have downloadable yard signs and social media graphics that you can use. So I encourage you to check that out. I will say also United for Libraries is coming out with a toolkit to support friends, trustees, and foundations in this fight for intellectual freedom. And it's specifically geared towards those groups, including friends, because although your staff and director, are on the front lines of this fight, we know that if a trustee or a Friends of the Library member is, out in public in the community, somebody knows they're affiliated with the library, they can get pulled aside and asked, does the library have any of the books I've been hearing about? Or why does the library have this book? Can you ask them to take it down, to remove it? So we have some just real life scenarios of that and how you can respond. So we'll be sure to let you all know when that toolkit is available, but it'll be a really helpful resource for trustees, friends, and foundations. This is our new logo. This is the new National Friends of Libraries Week logo that we'll be using for all our materials this year. So it'll be in our social media. Again, you're the first to see it here. So I hope everybody likes it. I'm really excited to have something new and fresh to push out as part of this week. So be sure and check out all of the materials that we'll have with this logo, and we'll have the logo embedded in social media graphics and also other customizable materials like a poster, bookmark that you can use. So yeah, I am so happy to be here today and tell you about National Friends of Libraries Week. I have not been looking at the chat, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Well, I do have a couple questions that I wrote down from the chat, actually. One is, and I'm not sure if you answered this already, and I was listening, I didn't hear. How far in advance do you approach the city with the idea of a proclamation, typically?
I mean, I would say, kind of best like your city calendar when things are really busy. But I think, I find that people plan really far ahead, so I don't think it can be really too early to just even, if you're going to get them to commit to doing it, you don't have to have everything ironed out, but just let them know this is something that you're interested in. Always good to be on their radar and on their calendar. So yeah, and then if, like Tennessee has made it a yearly thing, which is great. So once you kind of get in there, it can be a reoccurring celebration, which is nice.
Right. And another question asks about corporate sponsors for in-kind gifts. Is that something that's commonly used or at all, or do you
I
know?
haven't heard of it. Oops, sorry on my slide. I haven't heard of it for the week, but that's a really great idea. Um, I'm looking in the chat here too. I mean, and I think anytime if you have an event, anytime you can get corporate sponsors involved, or I know there's friends groups who have more who have a lot of corporate help. Some people go out to local businesses and corporations more than others do. But I think that's a great way to get them engaged. And then, sponsorships are great. So if you do a National Friends of Libraries Week or, event sponsored by these two organizations, I mean, it's another way to get the word out. It's another way to build relationships. I think that's a great idea.
Right. And another question that was, I think this was through the, it might not have been through chat, but through YouTube, but do the state associations ever get in on the Friends Week fund? Many fall during the autumn, Minnesota included. Ours is in the fall. So what about other state associations? Do they participate? Do they get in on the Friends Week?
They do. So Friends of South Carolina Libraries, I can include this in the resources. But they had an event during National Friends of Libraries Week, and it was during COVID, and it was an all virtual event. So they had a speaker come in and talk about a specific it was the Pat Conroy Center, if you know that author in South Carolina. So it was someone from that center. So it was like a speaker event, but they invited the friends groups to participate and then just made it a statewide event for anybody, for those who supported libraries to join in on. So that's great. And then I believe it was Tennessee. I don't know if they still do it. They have a great statewide friends organization like you do. So not only did they did the proclamation, but I did believe they did awards within the state for friends groups who celebrated National Friends of Libraries Week. So we do the national awards, and then there's, as a state, they did awards too, which is a great way to do it. And I'm trying to think of some other those are two really great friends groups, statewide friends groups. Massachusetts is another one, so they might do another event. But yeah, I mean, it's easy for a statewide group to promote that as you're doing here. And then, a statewide group is great to back obviously a proclamation and to help support that if that's something you're interested in pursuing, as an individual group.
Right. Someone just had asked if there's a list of past award winners for ideas. Do you have that on your website?
There is. It is on our website. And we have groups for, oh, thank you, Beth. We have ideas for friends, like I showed you, and we have ideas for libraries on our website. And then we also have past award winners and summaries of what they did. So yeah, that is a really good place for ideas. And then since so much is online, we didn't used to have this, but now we have the hashtag, right? And so if you go looking at the hashtag on Twitter or Facebook, you can find a lot of really creative ideas. So some don't always make it to us at United because, we don't know about them, but now you have the hashtag to really see what people are doing, which is neat.
Right. And I love that so many of these ideas are applicable no matter what size friends group you have. You can do some of these or all of them or whatever, whatever your library dictates, so they're wonderful ideas. Someone else had asked, how do you make inroads with a state senator, mayor, alderman, or whatever, if you don't already have those relationships? And that can be hard sometimes.
That is such a great question. And it's so funny because earlier this week, we did a United for Libraries Learning Live, and it was called Elected Officials Are People Too. And it was about how you can make those connections and relationships. So that is recorded. If you're a member, you can go online and access it. If you're not a member, you can purchase it as a one-off, or you can join us so you can view it. But just to tell you a little bit about that conversation, some of the wisdom shared, it featured Deborah Doyle, who's United for Libraries incoming president and past president of California Library Advocates, which is a statewide, not only friends group, but also trustees and foundations and library supporters. And then it had Lori Fisher, who's the state librarian in Maine, and she's also on ALA Policy Corps and has done a lot for these intellectual freedom initiatives. And then David Page, who's a past president of United for Libraries, who's now an elected official himself. He's a state representative in New Hampshire. So he's been on both, and he's a former library trustee as well. So he has some really good tips on connecting with elected officials. But just a few tips from that. Find out, first of all, what that elected official is interested in or passionate about. So an example during the webinar was someone had a elected official who's also a veterinarian, and they were very interested in the reading to dogs program, if you've ever done that at any of your libraries. But if, find out what their issues are. So if they've done a lot of work on early childhood education, as I said, make sure they know about everything you do during the summer for summer reading programs, if that's supported by the Friends. So keep in mind what's important to them, and then connect it with what you do at your library, and invite them in to get a card. Make sure they know the library is available for events, for things that they're interested in. There's a publication that we put out a couple years ago called Proving Your Library's Value. And it's about the ease of libraries, which is a messaging framework. And Beth will probably put it in the chat so you can look at it a little bit more. But the concept behind that is that we need a common language to explain to elected officials all the things that the library does, because they do so many things. So, is your elected official super interested in education or employment or, job opportunities? Are they interested in community engagement? Do they support local entrepreneurs? Thank you, Beth. So letting them know all the things that your library does in that area. But yeah, it's important to know the elected officials, the people they work with, their staff, and build those relationships. So that's a little bit, behind. I highly encourage checking out that webinar if you're interested in that, because that will also give you some more tips.
Well, that sounds really great. Well, another question was, is there a precedent for author talks as part of Friends Week, Friends Library Week?
I have definitely seen that, and maybe, that could take a few forms. It could be a virtual event, as I know, like that was done during COVID. It could be a fundraiser event, or like a wine and cheese, like some libraries do. It could be a free event to, as a thank you to the community, and you could do a membership drive there. So I've definitely seen author talks. And if you have local authors too, I know some libraries have done a local authors showcase, which is great if you're in an area where you have a lot of people who want to come in and talk about their book, but you don't necessarily have the capacity. So that's a great way to, have an event for those authors, and then be able to promote the Friends and bring people into the library and let everybody know what kind of, that these are the kinds of programs that the Friends are able to support and put on.
Okay, those are all the questions that I have. If anybody else has any questions that they would like, or that you had some questions beforehand that were, did you receive any beforehand too that you wanted to address, or?
I know there was a question here in the chat about when it is that Beth answered, but if you missed that, it's the third full week in October, just as a reminder. And we have the upcoming dates beyond 2023 listed on our website. So as I said, it's a little earlier this year. It usually falls in like October 20s, and this year it starts the 15th because of the way the calendar is structured. But yeah, and it's a Sunday to Saturday always.
Okay, that sounds great. I've taken so many notes. for my group, for my friends group. I loved some of the ideas that I really loved. I loved for kids having the temporary tattoos. I thought what a fun thing for them to have.
Yeah.
And bookmark design contests and coffee and donuts and so many different things. And then highlighting some of the other things like banned books weeks. You know, what you can do for those different weeks and different events. Those are wonderful. So
Great. I'm glad that I hope people find some good ideas in there, and then customizable too. As I said, if you don't have a ton of capacity and time, you can always do the thank you notes. You can do social media posts. And we had a question in the chat about how can we let neighboring libraries, how can we know what neighboring libraries are hosting events this week? I don't want to put that on your organization, but it could be something done at the state level. We've never collected that data on a national level. It might be a good thing to start doing because I know there's so much traffic, you know, it has increased each year around it. But that's certainly something that, you know, a state, no pressure, may be willing to collect if that information is helpful for other friends.
yeah, well, these are all wonderful ideas, and just you've got such great information that you shared with us. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and it was great. Thank
Thank you,
you.
Loretta. Thanks for all the great questions too. I really appreciate it. And I hope you guys have a wonderful time getting ready for National Friends of Libraries Week and a wonderful week. And just don't hesitate to contact us. You can always email us at united@ala.org if you need anything, or you can reach out to me personally too.
And I know that she said they're always looking for ideas in Aurora, Colorado. I know in Lakeville, Minnesota, where I live, we're always looking for wonderful ideas like this too. So this is just a great idea and a great sharing experience here today. So thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Loretta. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah. So thanks for each of you for joining us for making the most of National Friends of Libraries Week. Please watch your inboxes for a follow-up email from MALF. In it, you'll receive a link to the recording as well as a brief survey request. Please do spend a minute with that survey. We're eager to hear your thoughts on this afternoon's webinar. And just as critical, we'd like to see what you'd like to see next from MALF's programming. Of course, if you don't want to wait for the follow-up email, you can locate this and past programs right away on our online webinar archive. Before we log off, I want to leave you with 2 reminders and 2 brief announcements. First, those reminders: Friday, July 7th marks the entry deadline for the 2023 Evie Nordley Award. It's the perfect chance to share with fellow friends what you've been up to over the past year and to potentially win up to $1,000 for doing so. Remember, any friend-supported project is eligible for consideration, provided that 1, project implementation begins after January 1st, and 2, either the Friends or the Minnesota-based library was the primary beneficiary. Common project types include special events, successful fundraisers, membership drives, and advocacy campaigns. But then again, the sky's the limit. MALF submission cutoff for the 2023 class of Stand Up for Standout Friends falls 3 weeks later, Friday, July 28th. This honor includes a prize package and certificate from MALF. This is the year our Hall of Fame is going to meet and surpass 100 recipients, and we'd love for your community to be part of that. Visit our website, mnlibraryfriends.org, for details on both awards. In both cases, our winners will be announced and celebrated as part of MALF's annual online conference, which we call Saturday Splash. I'm thrilled to announce that this year's MC and keynote speaker is Minnesota's own Alan Eskins. That name probably needs no introduction. Alan is a chart-topping mystery author and has won or been shortlisted for every major award in the genre, including the Edgar, Barry, Rosebud, and Anthony Awards. not to mention several Minnesota Book Awards. Friend, fellow writer, and previous Saturday Splash MC William Kent Kruger sums it up best when he said, Alan Eskins is one of our best crime writers and at the top of his game. With recent releases like Forsaken Country, Nothing More Dangerous, and the forthcoming Saving Emma. Be sure to sign up for our e-newsletter to be among the first to learn about dates, itinerary, and registration for Saturday Splash. You can find that sign up at mnlibraryfriends.org or here in the Zoom chat. Last but certainly not least, I wanted to end with the mention that the Minnesota Association of Library Friends is recruiting. Our volunteer board is made up of members from around the state and represent many walks of life. Without them, our programming, grant work, and advocacy efforts would not be possible. We don't ask for much of your time. MALF's board calendar is structured around 4 quarterly meetings, 3 of which are conducted virtually. Board members are expected to serve at least 1 2-year term and sit on at least one of our working committees. Committees all offer the possibility to participate remotely. If interested in learning more, please email us at info@mnlibraryfriends.org. Resumes are welcome but not required. Our nominating committee chair will respond promptly to all inquiries, and we'd love to have you join us. That's all we have for today. Thank you again for joining us and have a wonderful rest of your week.